You ever get emails at work? Isn't that the best? See if any of you recognize not the specifics of this, but the tone. Dear valued employees, we have some exciting news to share with you. Over the course of the next month, each of you is going to have the opportunity to be punched in the face. While we are understandably excited about this initiative, we would like to note that it was not originally our idea. In fact, over the last few months, many of you have reached out to management and asked if it would be possible for you to be punched in the face. As you know, we like to work with you whenever possible. So we did some research, and it turns out that punching you in the face does align with our current business needs. It's a win-win. Please be on the lookout for an email from your manager giving you specific details about when and where you will be punched in the face. Sincerely, management. The company you work for does not love you. They don't even like you. How can I say that with such a high degree of confidence? Because we all live and work in a dystopian capitalistic hellhole. And in a dystopian capitalistic hellhole, you are nothing more than a resource for your employer. Human resources. It's right there in the name. And don't get me wrong, it's nice of them to acknowledge that you're human. But you're still just a resource. And a resource is something that you use. More specifically, it's something you use up. It's something you use until you have no more use for it, and then you discard it. Now, don't get me wrong. The individual human beings you work with, including management, may be perfectly decent people. They may like you. Some of them may love you. One of them may be stalking you. But all of them, even the potential stalker, work for the company. And companies do not have hearts. They also don't have brains, but that's a different conversation. Like the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman had a baby. Some people compare the employer-employee relationship to a parent-child relationship. Let me run two different kinds of parents by you. And imagine being the child in both of these scenarios. Parent number one. We're going to Grandma's house tomorrow. Be ready to get in the car at 1 o'clock. Parent number two. Hey, slugger. We're going to Grandma's house tomorrow, and Grandma really loves you, and she doesn't get to see you that often, and let's face it, she's got one foot in the grave, so it would be really great if you would come with us to see Grandma tomorrow, and if you're okay with that, we're going to leave at 1 p.m. What do the children of these two parents have in common? That's right. They're both definitely going to Grandma's house. The only difference is the child of parent number two is not only being forced to go to Grandma's house, but they're also being asked to participate in this fiction, to pretend like it's something they want to do, to, that it's ultimately their idea. Please don't talk to your children that way. That's not passive-aggressive, that's comatose-aggressive. Now, if my work experience is about to change in a way which is objectively bad for me, here's the email I want to get, and I'm not kidding. Dear employees, you're going to be punched in the face. Sucks to be you. Sincerely, management. You know what I like about that email? It's not talking to me like I'm a fucking idiot. And don't get me wrong. I like a lot of the people I work with. I would even say I love a couple of them. I'm not stalking any of them, I would tell you. But the company, I work and live in a dystopian capitalist hellhole. And I love the company exactly as much as the company loves me. However, at the end of the day, when I'm done with my work in this dystopian capitalist hellhole, I like to unwind with a good movie. Does anybody out there like science fiction movies?
Yeah.
Okay. I like science fiction movies partly because they're a picture usually of the future, and I like to see what the writers think are going to be in store for us, like the advancements we're going to make, like, the flying cars, the robot butlers. And don't get me wrong, these things are all well and good, but if I was writing a movie set in the year 3000, and I was wanting to describe my vision of a utopia for humanity, I think I would be basically describing a world in which everybody knew the correct name for everything. Let me give you an example. You've got this thing in your house. It looks like a smoke detector, but it's designed to detect the presence of poison gas. What do we call this? A carbon monoxide detector. You are a time traveler. You come from the future because you don't call it a carbon dioxide detector. I can't be the only one that's bothered by this. And if I am, humor me. Let me show you what a carbon dioxide detector looks like. Watch closely. Hey, look, there's some carbon dioxide. But don't worry, not enough to kill you. I'd have to breathe on you much longer than that to kill you. You know how in science fiction movies, sometimes they cryogenically freeze somebody and they wake them up in the future? If I'm ever cryogenically frozen and they wake me up in the year 3000, it's going to be an interesting conversation because you know the people in the year 3000 are going to have an attitude. Welcome to the year 3000. The world you've woken up to today will seem like an unimaginable paradise to you. Really? Does anybody still call it a carbon dioxide detector? Well, yeah, fuck you, future boy. That's what I thought. Put me back under for another 1,000 years. I feel lucky. And yeah, I know my credit card was declined. The account was closed 900 years ago. What do you want from me? This is your business model. But like a world where everybody knows the correct name for everything. This is all it would take to make me happy. I don't want a flying car. I don't want the robot butler. You know the robot butler is going to be designed by human beings. So all it's going to do all day is get on my nerves. Sir, would you like me to change the batteries in your carbon dioxide detector? Being a robot, I am immune to the effects of this deadly, deadly gas, but I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you. Your health and well-being is my #1 priority. Speaking of which, I would be happy to give you a prostrate exam. You heard this one, prostrate exam? I don't want to live in this future. I don't want to have a robot butler that calls it a prostrate exam. In fact, I don't know what's worse. The idea that I would have a robot butler that calls it a prostrate exam, or the thought of my robot butler putting its cold, metallic finger, I don't know which one of those is worse. Actually, I do. But it's a close call. Thank you.